Yes. Exactly. How you been? This promises to be a really good fire. I know. So now, it's too organized. He replied. Yeah, but then what happens? You can't make it up there. You know what I mean? You have to schedule that. Because I got to that. This week, you'll be around for today, Wednesday. Oh, you were out of town, so.
Let me get that done, like it's on my mind, man, so.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
We're not something at all, right?
No way. Just put together like. Maybe. Yeah, well, I know.
There you go. You're welcome.
Good, baby.
That's what I'm.
Celebrate you today. So I did And I said, well, how's it going? Said that. And I said that. Say how to tell it was like the best. They look like
Who? Look.
Good deal too.
We gotta keep going. So everybody find a seat, get your coffee. I'm gonna need after this class. But one of the things I've been working on is like, what's the definition of Chattanooga? How would you define it? And the one thing I want to, what I'm working on is define this as wealth building for agents. That's what's great about wealth entrepreneurs here in this office. And so with Aubrey coming here, I've had lots of conversation with him. I've watched him grow from an agent to an investor to now the leader of the GLG. Those are the things that, you know, investing in real estate, I mean, it's so powerful that allow you to do other things. So for me, Chattanooga is really known as wealth building. And so what I'm gonna do for y'all is bring great talent of wealth building. We had Brett Tanner a couple weeks ago. I hope they're doing. If not, he's coming back. We're ready 2.0, and it's gonna be all action based. Today, get ready. It's gonna be action based. I'm even my next hour and a half can't wait. I see Kim back there. Got her to buying something, but this is an opportunity to build massive wealth for you and your family. So without further ado, I'll be better. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing?
And before you get jump straight into it, I think we should bring Kelly and Kenda up. Yeah. She's going to provide a lot of our snacks and everything. It's helped out so many of us here. So Kelly, we got.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kelly Kenda with 210 Home Buyers Warranty, your home warranty partner. Hope you love your popcorn bar outside. You bring some sweets, so it's like, what kind of snacks can I bring? So hope you guys like it. First off, I just wanted to talk to you guys about our complimentary listing coverage. We all know the last couple of years, sellers weren't really paying for anything, but They are now. So it's good to negotiate a warranty in there. But how our complimentary listing coverage works is, you know, again, we don't know how long the home's gonna be on the market, a couple of hours, days, weeks, months, even up to a year. And so what 210 is proposing to your sellers is we will give them a free warranty during that listing period. We just ask for a verbal commitment that they're gonna market it with the home and present it to all parties at closing. That is it. Nothing to do up front, nothing to do until closing, and only the home closes with a home warranty. So number one question, Kelly, what if 210 goes out there, you know, 4 weeks later into the listing, you guys had to do repairs or even do a replacement, you guys paid out $900. Say our listing falls apart, or the seller decides to take the home off the market, do we owe you anything? No, only if the home closes. So it's a great marketing tool to use. Your sellers, the last thing they want to do is put more money into that home, so it's trying to sell it. So you're giving them peace of mind, but you're also offering these buyers peace of mind, coming into a pre-loved home, not knowing the age and condition, but knowing that they've already created history with a 210. And once it rolls over to buyer coverage, that buyer will get a full 1-year warranty starting to get closed for a full year. The only thing that's optional for coverage during the listing period is adding the air conditioner and heat pump. Heating is already included, but if you did want to add the AC and heat pump, that is an additional $50. But if the seller does not want to add that, say it's only a 1-year-old system, once it's converted over to buyer coverage, they will get that AC and heat pump coverage. So take advantage, and again, I do come along with my package. I am here not only to meet you guys, I love to talk to your clients, that's so important. Knowing the expectations of the warranty, the process, but better yet, that people find out that they have someone that they can connect with, if they ever have questions, or even need to get me involved, that's what it is.
So Kelly, this is Aubrey's class, right? So we're not gonna take this away from Aubrey.
Yes.
But why, this is called a cash flow class, is that correct?
Yes.
And she talked about your seller. So I want y'all to think, as y'all go through this journey with Aubrey today, of your investment properties. I have a property here in North Cross that I've not been to in 2 years. Shame on me.
Get a warranty.
But when they have a problem, they call the home warranty company. They take the $75, take it off their rent, and then when they send me the rent check, that is with the receipt. That's simple. I've not fixed a toilet. You don't want me to work on electricity. Right? You don't work on paying you like that one, right? Under those you have
I'm sorry.
But my point is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great opportunity, and why Kelly's here as a sponsor. Thinking of your real estate investment and how to keep it from going, because you are not the profession. You sell real estate, not plumbing, not electrical, whatever. That's what they do. You know, stay all those headings at 1 o'clock in the morning, all that the plumbing's happening. They call the expert. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna add something
Question.
for you. Yeah, go ahead, I have a question.
When we use the listing coverage, that also, does that also mean, and they buy it and it closes? There's no. There's no,
Pre-existing?
thank you, there's no pre-existing, everything's already covered.
As long as you have the history on
As
it.
long as you,
Yeah.
right, like you're fine, whereas if you bought it and you had a problem come in the first week, 10 days, 20 days, it might not be covered, is that
It
correct?
just depends on how long listing coverage was on it. Sometimes we see listing coverage for 3 days.
For 3 days, yeah.
So, yeah, I can't say yes or no to that, but the whole point of listing coverage is creating that history so that does not.
Excellent, thank you.
Alright.
I'm going to share something, on the buyer side. Last year, I got it for my clients. They moved in offered, 4 small girls, got in the hot tub, was not using here. Huge disaster, they paid. So do have it, even if you have to chip in, do 50% of your client, I will do it.
So with the rental properties I've had in the past, I've called Kelly, they replaced refrigerators, water heater, they replaced, water heaters, all kinds of plumbing stuff, I've had electrical issues. And a tip on, we're talking about building wealth, a lot of that's gonna be through real estate. Carry a home warranty on every single one. This is what I did, this is what I've done. And Gene talked about this a little bit too, I've always done this. In my lease agreement, I had in there that if something goes wrong in the house, they don't call me. They actually called the home warranty company and filed a claim. What they end up doing is they pay the deductible, the $50, $75, $100, whatever it is, and then they send me a receipt that everything's been done, and then I'll allow them to take it out of the rent. That way, I'm not in the middle of, hey, the contractor hadn't shown up yet, or whatever the case is. It helps me out a whole lot, and they cover thousands of dollars of headaches. So it's gonna work everything.
Y'all enjoy your class. Thank you guys so much. Thanks.
Okay, guys, we've got about 3.5 hours of stuff to pack into an hour and a half. And I was just talking with a few people in the back. I had a decision to make. And as I was putting together this concept, I realized this is a lot of stuff to put into 1.5 hour class. And we can either rush through it at 200 miles an hour, or we can take our time and actually understand it. And I would think understanding it is more important than rushing through it. So if you guys are okay with that, we can take a deep breath, knowing we're not gonna get through everything today, that's okay. We'll have a part 2, and we'll finish up everything on the part 2. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, good. Okay, so, disclaimer, I'm not your financial advisor. Nothing in these slides meant to be investment advice. Please talk to your bank account. Got it? Okay, good. I'm gonna share my personal experiences and what I've learned, and I want to share with you. So we're gonna jump in here. All right, what we're gonna cover today, we're gonna define real quickly your life by design. If you go ahead and look at your piece of paper, start filling out some of it on the front page, please do that. All right, and anybody that comes in late, I've got extra flyers here. You guys can pass them around, it'll be helpful. We're gonna outline a financial freedom plan. You're actually gonna have your financial plan done. You will have clarity on what it takes to hit your specific goals. Okay. By the way, how do you participate here is how you participate everywhere. You guys are showing up till 2:30, 2:45 today, and then we finish this first section of it to make a positive difference in your life. That requires you to take action, right? Don't just come here to be entertained, come here to actually put something in place. We're gonna go over different ways to find properties. Raise your hand if you're at the Kennedy Wealth thing with Brett Tanner a couple weeks ago. Okay, so a few hands that went up, okay? Raise your hand if you weren't. Okay, good. Who wouldn't raise their hand no matter what? Here's what happened. Brett did a great job really casting a vision. I have 1 or 2 things in here just to set the mindset right, that's similar to what he had in there. What he didn't do, and he really can, is go into the nitty-gritty specifics of how to really find properties here in Atlanta. Because each state is a little different, there's different ways to do it. So we will go over very particular ways to find properties. I personally flipped 43 homes. So we're gonna talk about where to find those, what mistakes I made. I made money on every property except for 1, right? However, I made 1 big mistake that cost me a lot of money, and I learned from that mistake exponentially on what to do and what not to do. I'll share that with you as well, okay? We're gonna go over different ways to find properties. We're gonna commit to taking action. That's what we're just talking about. Education without implementation is just entertainment. Guys, I'm here to be entertained. You're here to make a positive difference in your life. Here's what I ask you to do. When we leave today, I have this at every class I'm ever involved in. Pick 1 thing. How many? 1. You'll hear a million things. Just pick 1. Got it? Just 1 thing. And that's gonna be on your sheet at the back of the page and on the back side of it. And I had this thought in my mind, like, we go to so many classes, we hear so much information, and how often do I leave with this fancy notebook of stuff that I never look at it yet, right? I didn't want that to be this class. I wanted this to be an active, participatory, you're gonna commit to taking an action, you're gonna sign your name on the back to yourself, you don't have to give it to me, right? This is for you, okay? So commit to yourself that you're gonna do something to drive yourself forward, okay? All right, so this is some of the stuff that I love to ask you guys. I got this question, actually, this came from, I think Matt Teeter here, I love this question. When was the last realtor retirement party you went to? It's like almost 20 years, I have not been to a realtor retirement party, right? Okay, here's another question. If tomorrow you woke up and the income from selling real estate was gone, what would happen to your current lifestyle? Would it change? For most people, yeah. The beginning of this business for freedom, yes, question.
Something is wrong with Zoom. People are not listening to you on Zoom.
Oh, they can't hear me? No, I gotta fix that. Yeah. Well, hang on. I can't see it here. Or maybe they can't see me. There we go. There you go. Now they can probably see me. Probably they can't see me. Same as system, the echo. It should be good now. I think the video wasn't on, so they probably couldn't see me.
Well, ask somebody if they can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Online?
Yes, Aubrey, but too far.
Too far.
Okay, so the microphone's right here.
Mike's over there. I'm talking loud. I'm talking loud. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And now we can see you.
The next one, if tomorrow you woke up and all your income was going, how would your lifestyle change? What would happen? You know? So for most of us, it would. We get in this business for financial freedom. We get in this business for flexibility in our schedule. We're sky's the limit on what we can do. And then what ends up happening is, if you're in this business of real estate, so many of us go on listing appointments, sell properties, and the second we pull that last sign out of the yard is the second our income stops. We're in the business of real estate. Shouldn't we be investing in it? Wouldn't that be smart to do, right? I don't want you guys working at 85, 90 years old because you have to. I want you working if you want to, because you enjoy it, right? In fact, I want you 5, 10 years from today, be in a completely different financial position from where you are right now. Even if you're financially free, how tall would a tree grow? How tall does a tree decide to grow? If it has plenty of light and plenty of sun and plenty of water, how tall does a tree grow? As tall as it can, right? Every single one of us have the same perspective in our lives. Money's good for the good it can do. You should go after everything you possibly can, and if you don't need it, give it away, because I promise you somebody does. Make sense? We have lots of good causes. What are we doing for Red Day?
We have several.
Multiple things. Read, what are a couple? You know what we're doing?
We're doing frontline response, which we're feeding the homeless. We're doing families first, donating backpacks and school supplies. We're doing Northwest Ministries, the food pantry, and we're going to visit the nursing home and take cookies into them.
All of which people in need, right? So be the best version of yourself. So how do we get out of this rat race? What is it happening? So what's the most valuable asset we have?
Time.
Time is the one thing that we can't get back, right? Tony Starr, this is from the wealth thing. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. True or true?
True.
Absolutely, right? So living your life by design. We have a choice to live a life by design or a life by default, okay? So what years will you enjoy the most? Right, maybe, right? Here, okay, let me show you this. This case, it says My Adventure Book. Do you know what Disney movie this is from? It's Up. The movie called Up. So the story was, it's about a young couple who meet when they're in like grade school, right? And they eventually they play and have fun. They eventually get married when they're older. And they set this jar up and they put money in it, all the time. Like, we're gonna keep saving for some great memories and adventures we're gonna take of the world. And what happens? She gets sick. She doesn't make it, right? So they saved tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. Let's make the most of the moments we have, because when are we gonna be able to ski down a mountain and have a good time doing it? Probably when we're younger than when we're 90. You know what I mean? Not to say some 9-year-olds can't ski, probably can, right? How do I know I will be able to? I don't. Anything can happen tomorrow, this afternoon, right? Okay. Another one. How many more beach swims are you gonna have? How many more Christmases with your loved ones? How many more camp night fires? Toasting marshmallows? How many more Taco Tuesdays? Right? How many more days with your parents? And maybe their grandkids? He gave a stat at the class. He said the average adult person spends 10 days per year with their parents. 10. How many more days do we have with our parents? Especially if they don't live here locally. How about summers with your kids? We have 18 summers with our kids and they're gone. Remember they said this on stage at, I think it was the Empire Builders or something like that. It's like 18 summers with our kids and then they're gone. In most cases, a lot of times they're like 30. Yeah. How many summers do you have left? How many summers do you have left with your kids?
As many summers as you can pay to take them on vacation.
Isn't that right? Yeah, and then they'll come with you. Mom and dad are saying, you're gonna go. Okay, so why are we waiting to live a life full of creating memories with our loved ones? Why do so many of us fall into this where we're gonna wait to fill our adventure book? And the reality is, it's usually a lack of cash flow. We have enough to get by, not enough to create the memories, right? So, the question, what's the difference between rich and wealthy?
Time.
Okay, time. What's another definition? Yep, time. What else? Time does play into it. That's a good answer. Rich and wealthy. What's the difference? Rich, wealthy.
Mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
We run out of money and broke.
Okay. All right. What else? Okay. Here, I'll give you Gary's definition. He said rich means you earn a lot of money and have a lot of things. Think of ball players. They get paid millions of dollars while they're playing ball. They have a lot of money. They drive Bentleys and Ferraris and big mansions. What usually, anybody that comes in, you guys hand them a handout here. What usually happens to a lot of ball players a few years later when they weren't smart with their money? Flat broke. They're used to this lifestyle. They no longer live, they don't no longer make enough money to support that lifestyle. They're broke. They didn't do what? Save and invest. They didn't invest. So Gary says wealthy, on the other hand, means you have the passive income to fund your life without having to work. See the difference? Rich means make a lot of money and have a lot of things. Wealthy means you have the passive income to fund your life without having to work. It's rich plus the passive income. You see what I mean? See the difference there? Same thing with lottery winners. What usually happens with lottery winners a few years later? Oh, they didn't develop the habits of creating wealth. And a lot of this that you're on this journey is going to be you learning the habits to create passive income and wealth. Okay, cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. So wealth allows you to think differently about your life. So what's your 2023 wealth plan? We're gonna create one today if you don't have one. What's your 2023 wealth plan? We have to start somewhere. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is when? Now. Right now, today, in this classroom, with the pens in your hand, a piece of paper in front of you. That's the right time. You haven't done it yet. Okay? So imagine for a moment that we're at a point in our life where we work because we want to, not because we have to. A place where our passive income surpasses what we need to live the life that we desire, and we need to chase our path. Whatever that is for you. That we're able to leave a legacy to the people we care about and positively impact future generations. What if your thing is, I wanna do a paper for my grandkids and my grandkids' grandkids and my grandkids' grandkids go to college. I have no idea what yours is, right? But what is that thing that you want to do to leave a legacy even for years later? So how does that feel? Pass completely financially free, you can do whatever you want. How would that feel? Give me a couple words to describe that.
Amazing.
Amazing, that's a good word. I like that. What else?
Free.
Freeing. Weight on your shoulders, right? Hey, what else? Empowering, relaxing. Maybe take some vacation, you can relax a little bit. Yeah, on the beach. Eat tacos, eat some more tacos. Yes.
I'm grateful.
You're ready for it. That's it. Anywhere we want to be, we have to take action today. People overestimate what they can do in a year, and greatly underestimate what they can do in 5. So we're going to build a plan for you, a 5, 10, or 15-year plan. You're going to lead with that financial freedom. Okay. All right. So question: have you ever met someone that has money but isn't happy?
Oh, yeah.
I have. Yeah, absolutely. You know, money doesn't bring happiness. Having wonderful moments and spending time with the people you care about is what brings happiness. Like money's just a piece of paper with some presidents on it, right? That's the ink and paper. It's a tree, essentially, it was processed, right? That doesn't bring happiness. We think a lot of times having these things is going to bring us happiness. The reality is happiness is an inside job. There are people that are dead broke that are happy, right? However, what does Zig Ziglar say about money? Yeah.
Should I point out that Benjamin Franklin was never president?
Oh, there, okay, true, good point, good point. So, what does Zig say about money? He said that, yes. You know what else he said about money? He said, anybody that says that it's not important has never lived without it for very long. True, isn't it? We do need money. There was a study that's been done, you guys might have heard about it, and they take like that, it was a few years ago, they take the average income, and actually said above that amount, it doesn't get, you don't get exponentially happier. You know what I mean? It's only like $75,000, $100,000 a year. But below that, it absolutely does. Until you get to that point, it absolutely does, right? Why? Because money causes stress and anxiety. Lack of money can cause stress and anxiety, right? Okay, well, above 75,000 in our industry, we don't have a retirement plan, right? We don't have the 401kw is profit share, right? We have to participate in it. Right? So the unfortunate part with realtors is we're running, putting signs in yards, pulling signs out of yards. We don't have, so our stress level is higher because we don't have that cushion built in for retirement, right? And we have to start thinking about this. Okay? All right, so you got your workout, your handout, your hand. Everybody got, who's missing a handout? Anybody missing one? Does everybody have a handout? Okay. All right, good. So we're gonna take just a couple minutes. We're gonna go through this together. We're going to write down today's date. Now, this is the interactive. Why are you here today? Why are you here today? Give me some answers. Why are you here today? I'm asking you to come in today. What to hear me speak?
I want to figure out a good investment property to purchase.
Okay, so figure out a good investment property to purchase. Yes. So types of properties, where to find properties. Tell me more about that.
Well, I'm looking kind of in the Atlanta area on maybe fixer uppers, flipping houses.
Okay.
I want to sell a house that an investor wants to purchase, so I can use my commission to get a percentage of it.
Okay, we'll talk about some of that part as well. Okay, what else? What brought you here today? What brought you here today?
Financial freedom.
Financial freedom, absolutely, yes. Okay, what else?
Learn more.
Retirement?
Learn more about the business.
Learn more about the investing business,
Yeah.
right? Absolutely, yes.
To take in some actual like action plans.
Yes, so
Steps to-
clear steps,
yeah.
things you could do this afternoon, right, to start that journey. Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right, second question. Make sure you're writing your answer. Everybody should be, I want pieces of paper filled out today. You don't necessarily have to give them to me. This is for you. What I will tell you though, is if you want a little accountability, email it to me. Take a picture of it later, email it to me or text it to me, and I'll absolutely want to see you ask about it. How are you doing? What can I do to help you? Right? So, okay, so write it down. This is for you. Why are you here today? The second one is, why is financial freedom important to you? What would you do with it? You have the financial freedom. Why is that important to you? Okay, spending time with family and kids. What did Chuck say? Happy wife. Happy wife. Happy wife. Yeah. Traveling, creating memories. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Donate.
Donate, you'll make
Others.
Yeah, helping others. Yes, good reason. Write down your reason right now. Write them down. Everybody's pen should be up. You've all piece of paper. Is anybody missing a pen? Anybody need a pen? That's okay. Alan, did you get a piece of, one of the handouts? Yeah, pretty good. All right. Okay, what is it? Okay, what does a life by design look like to you? Let's fast forward. Let's say 5 years from now, you're financially free. You're working because you want to, not because you have to. You're waking up in the morning now. You don't have to work anymore. You have the passive income. Whatever that is for you, 10, 20, $30,000 plus a month, whatever it is for you. You have that money, mailbox money coming in no matter what. What would you be doing? Where would you be living? Who would you be living with? Is it lake life? Is it mountain life? Is it here locally? What are you doing with your day? What does a life by design look like? You, give me some answers. What does it look like? You're perfect life. 5 years from now, you can be doing anything. What does your day look like? I'm spending my day doing what?
Skiing in Colorado.
Skiing in Colorado for as long as you want to, right? Absolutely. Okay, write that down. What else?
Going to the beach.
Going to the beach. And so you have a house at the beach and you're going to the beach. What beach?
Seaside.
Seaside. Okay, there you go. Complex. There you go. Okay, good. And the reason I'm asking questions, get specific, when you write it down, get really specific. You know, okay, what else? What else? Life by design.
Lake life,
Lake life, with lake.
linear.
Lanier, okay, all right, all right. House is paid for with cash on Lake Lanier. When we can define it, we can back into goal setting to the now, how to get there, okay? All right, and you write down a price next to it, what you think that house would cost. It will change in 5 years. You're already building it, good. Have it paid off in 5 years. Got it.
I got two. I got my house in Marbella, Spain. And play golf as often as I can with Mike and beat him every time, like. You good?
So play golf and then have your house in Spain, right? Paid for, be able to visit. Love that. Okay, what else? What's on your life by design? We have to write it down. This is such an important step. What does your life look like 5 years from today? You're completely financially free. What are you doing with your day? Yes.
Real estate, which is not pressured to.
Yeah. Your bills are met, and we don't have commission for that. Because they know you really care. It doesn't matter to you whether or not they buy or sell the house. What matters is making a difference in their life. We're unattached to whether or not they buy or sell. What we're attached to is them having a great experience, you know, and being very grateful for what we gave them. That's a great one. Yeah. What else? What's your life look like? How often are you seeing your family? How often are you traveling? What kind of car are you driving? You know, what are you doing in the community? What is your day filled with? Give me a couple more. Let me make sure you're writing them down. What'd you write down? Look at your blank. Everybody should have something right now. Give me two more.
Well, I want to have a house on the beach too, but so I can give it to my children.
Ooh, love that.
So they can always go with their families.
Yeah. What else? Could be your bathroom's completely remodeled. Could be you finish your basement. Could be you put a pool in the backyard. It could be you fully funded your kid's college education, you know? What is that for you? What do you want to accomplish in the next 5 years? That you're not there yet. Here, thoughts? You guys have it filled out?
Yeah, no, my parents are, make sure my kids were paid for all activities they want to do. Be white again, travel, going in the backyard is a good one.
Love that. Write that down and we can attach a dollar figure next to most of these. Like pool in the backyard, what does that cost? Or maybe I'm making numbers up, $100,000, right? Okay, great. Mike's laughing. Like, maybe. Are you getting a square? All right, what else? So it could be you're funding your kids' future and their vacations. We can attach a value to that, like kids' college education, what does that cost for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years of college, whatever it takes now, right? Plus, vacations, how many vacations do we want to go on a year? 5 years from now, maybe it's 2 vacations a year, or 4 days, 1 a quarter. Where do you want to go? Cross seas? Okay, that's gonna be 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand per vacation. Okay, I mean, it means 80 grand, you know? See what I mean?
That's a ski trip.
Yeah, ski trip. There you go. There you go. Write that down, be very specific. Does everybody have it written down? Their life by design? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, all right, what's your freedom number and yearly passive income to live your life by design? Okay, don't say this one out loud, okay? What I do want you to do is look at your current lifestyle, okay? And then I want you to look at what you made last year, how much you have left over. A lot of times I'll ask somebody, what's their burn rate per month? And they'll give me a number, bless you, like $5,000. I'm like, okay, 5 grand per month. That's 60 grand per year. You made 120 last year. That means you have 60 grand sitting in a checking account right now, right? And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, then your burn rate is not 5 grand a month, it's 10 grand a month. It's that full $120,000 a year. So the easiest way I found to know what your burn rate is take your household income that you had last year, total household income. And if you don't have anything left over, that's your burn rate. And that didn't even include your life by design stuff. That's just your current burn rate for the life you're living right now. Write that number. You can write small print if you want your neighbor to see it, right? But write it down, okay? If you had money left over, then whatever you made as a household minus whatever you had saved last year, that's your burn rate. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Wow, that put a different perspective on it for me.
That's scary.
Isn't it? And we found, like, myself included, but what I thought my burn rate was, I actually started, this is how I found out. I started taking at the beginning of the month, I followed kind of the market center model. We take our operating account, we take our savings account, I put just in our operating account, how much we need per month. I thought it was like 8,000 a month. It was not. It was way more than 8. I'm ashamed to even admit, I'm like, but I'm happy with the lifestyle we live, right? It was made, because I put 8 grand in there, and then my wife and mom was like, we don't have much money left in the account. I'm like, we're going. Quickly found out our burn rate's not 8 grand a month. Right? It's a lot more than that. I'm okay with that because now I know. And I know what I need to do in my job to fund this. You see what I mean? Okay, so everybody has their financial freedom number written down? Did that explanation make sense? Okay, now, what do you have currently in passive income? It may be 0. And then what's your gap? Well, it's that full number. Or maybe you own a few investment properties. You got a little bit of passive income coming in from that. Great. Subtract that yearly dividend that you're getting in passive income, because it only counts as passive income if you're actually getting a dividend check, which a lot of stocks aren't cutting dividend checks right now. Take that passive income you're getting, subtract it from your big number that you need per year. Now you have the gap. What is the gap? Write your gap. Did I explain that right? You guys get it? Yes.
Can you go back again? I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you're faking it, somebody else.
It's kind of hard, fast. Can you just go back again at, what is your freedom number?
Your freedom number. Think about what you made as a household last year. Okay? How much did you have to write that number down? Household income last year, write that number down. Okay? Below that, write down minus how much money we have left over. What do you have left over that you didn't spend last year? If it's 0, then your financial freedom number is the full amount of money that you made in your household last year. Make sense?
Another thing you're trying to reduce, if you go back and look at your checkbook for at least 3 months.
Yeah, get your average.
And just find out how much are you spending, not 1 month, but do 3 months.
That's right. Yeah, good, another good way to do it. That's it. Okay, all right. When do you need to hit this number by? When do you want to be financially free? Don't worry about the how. We're going to go through the how today. When do you want to be financially free by? What's that date for you? Write that down. You can say this one out loud. When do you want to hit that number by? 23?
2030.
2030, right? So we have 7 years, including this year, 6.5 years or so to get there, right? Okay, got it. By 2030, who else? When do you want to have that financial freedom number coming in? When do you want to be there by?
2028.
2028, 5 years, yes, right, go.
2026 year end.
Okay, yeah, 3.5 years, yeah. Write it down. It could be 3 years, could be 10 years, could be 50, whatever it is for you. Fill that blank in. Somebody else give me a couple more numbers. When do you want to hit your freedom number by? This is important. We need this in order to back into what
When do
needs
you
to happen.
want versus when do you need?
When are you
It says
committed to
need.
doing what it takes to get there? When do you have to be there by? Because if we, a want is very different than a have to, right? So if what are you gonna be motivated to do, write that year down, we're gonna take whatever action that you need to get there. We're gonna cover how to get there. You need this number to do everything else on the page. You have to have this number written down, got it? Even if it changes, which is okay, it can change, just put a number down for now. And if you don't have one in mind, put down 5 or 10 years, maybe it's 10 for you, if you have the time. If you're a little later in your stage of life, it might be a shorter period of time, it might be 3 or 4 years. Just think where you are right now. When do you want to get to your financial freedom number? Write that number down, because everything else in the sheet won't work unless we do that. Okay, guys got it? All right. Okay, so now you have this number written down. When do you need to hit that number? When do you need to hit that number by? So you know how many years that is. Let's say 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is. How much passive income do you need to create per year to get there in time? Let me give you an example. Let's say you said, I want to be financially free in 5 years. And I said, and the next question is, how much money did you need in passive income?
Nope.
Well, I need, let's say it's $200,000 in passive income. Okay, I have 5 years to get there. How much do I need to create each year to get there? $40,000 equals 40K per year. So let me run through this again. What does this mean? If I want to be financially free by the middle of 2023, which is in 5 years, my freedom number is $200,000 per year in passive income. That means I need to create $40,000 per year of passive income for the next 5 years. Does that make sense? The reality of what will happen is it's kind of like a hockey stick. You'll build some momentum and it'll kind of ramp up, but this at least gets us started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Get where you'll get right. We have to look at it first. That's what we're doing. You guys got it? That number written down? Okay. Okay, now before we jump into investment vehicles, here's my clicker. Love these seats, Mike. This guy. Okay. Is that helpful? Did everybody get their sheet filled out?
So,
Yeah.
back up, so you take the number, your freedom number and divide by 5 years, and that's what gives you the.
Well, yeah, whatever your freedom number is,
Oh, that was cool.
yeah, whatever your freedom number is, divide it by the years that you have. Hey, Lenny, to figure out what you need per year.
Okay.
Yeah. Does everybody have it? If you don't, raise your hand.
You say
Yes.
freedom number?
Yes, so what's your freedom number? Say it in your head. Okay? If whatever you made last year, let's say you didn't have any extra money left over, that's your freedom number. Okay, all right, now take that, how many years did you have to be financially free? Let's say it was 5 years. So if your number that you spent in your household last year was $120,000, you divide that by 5 years. How many years you want to take to get financially free? And that gives you the per year which you need to create. Got it? Anyway, that doesn't get it, come by afterwards like that. Okay, all right, so just page 1 for now. Okay. All right, yes. Okay, how many streams of income do you have right now? How many do you help people get? Like, what do you guys help them? Oh, they're not screen sharing anymore?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I go in to log to new people,
Yeah.
and then I lost your screen.
Oh, okay, okay, we'll screen share. How many streams of income do you help people create, Mike?
Passive income would be number 1.
Sure.
Now we have JVs, and then we talk about buying and selling real estate.
Yeah, there's the third one, right? How many streams of income do you have right now? That's a good bit.
Yeah. My biggest one is profit share.
Don't tell me the amount. How many streams of income are creating?
Short-term rental, long-term rental.
profit share, I have
What do
three
you mean about
JVs.
this?
Could be it.
Don't count what you lose in the golf.
Ownership is about to happen, right? Yeah. 9 or 10 streams of income. Why is that good?
Because if one's
Just-
not here, so hot, the other one.
Here's the good news is they all kind of complement each other. You're in the real estate business. There's multiple ways to create streams of income that complement each other, right? This is the business you understand. This is the one you should be investing in, right? It makes sense. Okay. We get it shared?
I did, but I think I might have missed you.
That's okay. Here, I think if you double click in here, just double click right there, maybe not.
Sorry.
I don't have any slide, not working. It's usually view. Oh, you just do this, exit out, just close it, close it, and then click on this, and then click on that. That's okay. And then, just scroll down. It's this one. Everyone. Yeah.
They're trying to go one side.
All right. Okay, benefits of having more than one stream, it offsets each other. If one isn't doing well, then the other four are, great, you're doing better, you're okay, right? So let's talk about how money's created. Who's seen this before? Raise your hand. Do you know where it came from? The book.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes, Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. This came from Actionable quadrant. Yeah. So, and here's what this means. The left side, the top left one, E, employee. That's where most people start off their life. They get, most people in this room at some point had a W-2 employee job, right? Okay. So in that one, we work for someone else, right? In other words, we have a job. We have a job in the top left. Bottom left is at some point we decide we're gonna be realtors. We're gonna hop in the real estate business. And we went from having a job to owning a job. Now we own a job. Okay. Now look at the right side of this quadrant. Where you want to get to is where more of your income comes from the right side and the left side. Why? Because if you look at this top left, the definition of a business is you can walk away for a year and it still runs without you, right? Now you've created some passive income, okay? Now, a business owner, you own the business, you're still involved, right? But you've created something that runs, whether or not you're there, it will create some income because other people are starting to and being involved working for you. Investor is really completely passive. In most scenarios, if I have Apple stock, you cannot really impact the value. I can buy as many Apple iPhones as I want. I'm not really going to impact this $1 trillion company, right? It's not going to happen, right? It's passive. Investor is probably the most passive. You want to get to a point where most of your income comes from that side. Now you can be in 3 of these at the same time. I guess technically I'm in 4 of them at the same time, right? I'm an employee for the legacy group. I'm self-employed and I have multiple businesses that I own. I still do work that I get paid for. I'm a business owner in the fact that I have a production team and the fact that I have other companies that run, whether or not I'm in them. And I'm an investor because I do buy some stocks and things like that. So you can be in all the categories, right? That's fine. Usually get to the point where that side, the right side is where you get most of your money from. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's where you get financially free. These ones require you being in them every day. These ones do not. See the difference? Yeah. Okay. So question, now that we have the money, what options do we have with it? I know this little bar at the bottom is kind of in the way. Can I move this? Put it there for now. I'll move it in a second. Okay, this is the path of money. This looks complicated to follow. It's really not. I don't think I can click or you see. Okay, here's what happens at the top. 2 ways to create money. Human capital, that means you're working for money. This top left one, you see it, human capital, you're working for money. Okay, the top right one's capital assets, your money works for you. Stock, bonds, mutual funds, rental properties, business that you own, right? So those are 2 ways you're making money. Left side of the quadrant, the right side of the quadrant. Okay, that's what those top 2 are. Those create cash flow. You see the red one, cash flow? Okay, now we have money. What do we do with it? What do we do with the money? We have the money, we have 4 options. We can invest it. That's what the box in the middle is. We can save it. We can donate it, or we can spend it. What do most people do with it when they have the money? Spend it. Spend it. It's gone, they never see it again, right? And then the tax bill comes out as a file extension, like I'll make it by October, right? That's not you or anybody in this room. okay? And so let's go to the invest side. What are we here to talk about today? Investing. So we're gonna talk about, now if we're gonna invest, we have two options. We can either lend it, we can actually lend it, we'll talk about that in a second, or we can own it. We're picking what vehicle we want. We can lend it or own it. If we lend it, it's relatively passive. Where are we lending it? We're lending it to maybe the bank. So they're gonna do money market, CDs, bonds, treasury bills. We can own it passively, stocks, REITs, mutual funds, right? Does that make sense? But it's passive. We can't really control the money because they control it, right? By the way, what do they do with your money when you lend it to them, the banks? They lend it at a higher interest rate. That's all. Right? You see what I mean? It's called arbitrage. Okay, all right, the right side. Now, if we decide we want to invest, we want to own something where we actively are involved, now we're on this right side. We can do owner financing on something. And that might mean another agent in the office wants to do a flip. They have enough money to get the loan, but they don't have the money to fix it up and say, hey, I'll go in with you, I'll lend you, but you're gonna pay me this percent, right? You might be involved and you're doing owner financing. I actually don't laugh, okay? You can laugh if you want to. When I was flipping a lot of homes, single family residences, I had a crew that worked for me. And they called me one day, actually, this isn't laugh at it, it's awesome actually. They called me one day and said, hey, do you want a free home? Like, did I hear you? Like, free home, what? And they said, yeah, free. I was like, how would I get a home for free? And they said, well, it's in the complex that we live in. I'm like, where do you live? And they told me the name of the community. I was like, I've never heard of it. And what I found is they lived in a mobile home park, right? And the community had and a nice one, like a pool, tennis courts, sidewalks, street lights, and there were a couple homes that were sitting there empty. And they said that the ownership group is giving this home to somebody and needs work. I was like, okay. Tell me more about this. What are the needs? Like paint, carpet, some new flooring, not much. I'm like, okay, what would it rent for? He's like, $900 a month. I'm like, how much would it cost to fix it up? He's like, I don't know, $5,000. I'm like, how much would it for 900? What's the lot rent? I never knew what lot rent was. He's like $450 a month. I'm like, hang on. So I put $5,000 in it. I get $450 a month. He's like, yeah. I'm like, come on, So I went and bought one, and they were like, hey, you did a good job with that one. You want more? At one point, I had 6 of these properties that were given to me, right? And what I ended up doing, I actually stole them on owner financing. I didn't have to pay for any of the repairs, right? I stole all of them, and I put like $5,000 in them, sold all of them for like 25, 30 grand, right? And then they made payments for me for 5 years, right? To pay them off. So I passed an income for that amount of time, but they had to repair it, something went wrong. I was essentially there. So that's an example of owner financing, right? Private lending. You could own it. This is what we're talking about. This one right here today, real estate, single family, commercial property, whatever it is for you, it's owning real estate, right? That's the path we're going. Is that really all of that? Those then give us more money and we go back to the top. Now we have capital assets and human capital. Do the whole process again. Do you guys follow that flow of money? At first glance, it looks complicated. When you go through, you're like, oh, okay. Yep. All right. Okay, so we're gonna move this guy down. Is this helpful? You guys get some? Absolutely. Okay. All right. Okay, tell me about the predictability of dividends from your stocks right now. How's that going for you? All right. Here's what I don't like. I'm not against stocks. I have stocks. Okay. Here's what I don't like about stocks. There were a lot of people in the past few years that are at an age where they need dividends, and then dividends stop getting paid. And these people now can't pay their bills, they can't put food on the table, and they're in a tough spot, right? Why do I like real estate? Because it's the second most basic human need, right? You've got food and you've got shelter, right? And a stock could be worth nothing tomorrow. A house is always worth something. It is always worth something. And if somebody's gonna pay something, they're gonna pay their stinking house first, because they don't want to be without a roof. They might put food on their table first, but they're gonna pay their house. It's one of the last things they don't pay. They may miss paying their credit card bill or whatever else, but they usually, their house is one of the last ones they forget to pay. Make sense? And if they did stop paying, I don't like this, but what could you do?
Take it back.
Put somebody else in there, right? Take it back, put somebody else. With stocks, if they stop paying dividends, what can you do?
Sell it.
Yeah, sell it. And unfortunately, when they stop paying dividends, a lot of times they're selling it for a much lower amount than you want to. And a lot of people relying on that, needed that money in order to live the rest of their life. So how do they replace it? You're in a tough spot. You're in a pickle. You see what I mean? Okay. And I've done evictions. They're not fun. Right? I'm almost too giving to a point where I let people float for too long. Right? It happens. But at the end of the day, it's taking away from my family. Right? I'll help out up to a point, but at a certain point you can't anymore. Right? How many individual people, if you own 10 rentals and they stop paying, would you go float the mortgage of 10? Most people know, like they can't, right? So you need to remember that if you have rental property. Don't let that scare you when we talk about that. You know what's funny? On those mobiles that I had, only one of them had to deal with eviction on it. And they actually moved out. I didn't have to like actually do the whole process. I filed for it, and they moved out. That's fine. You know, it worked out. What industry has created more millionaires than any other? You're in it, right? You're in it. So investment vehicle, we're gonna talk about real estate today. That's what we're going through, okay? All right. So remember this conversation, right, Mike? At AMC, I think, Brody, were you there? You on AMC this year? No, okay, you'll be on AMC next, right? Yeah. We're on, well, you'll talk. She probably will. All right, so conversation with Gene Rivers. This is what he talked about. What's one of the biggest expenses for many of your clients in their life? No, think about big money. What's the big lump sum that they usually have to pay?
Down payment.
So down payment, okay, you guys are right, they didn't ask the question, right? Think outside of their house, what are some other really big expenses?
College.
College expenses, college and wedding, those are two really big ticket items, which one's more expensive, a wedding or a college? The college. Let's forget like college. All right, so kids college or grandkids college, so this is where you're gonna take something away, pay attention right now. Right, what I'm about to show you is something you can put in place in your business this afternoon that will help fund your wealth journey. Okay, so pay attention, okay? So kids, grandkids, college, all right? What is the average cost of college today? Yeah, 100,000. It depends on if it's in-state or out-of-state, but 100,000 is a good number, right? 25 to 50 per year, 4 years would be 100,000, or if they go out-of-state, it could be more.
Would be 200.
Yeah, 200 or more, right? So, all right, we'll take a look at this. The average cost is 200. So if you have a lot of households have 2 kids. So we're talking $200,000 to $400,000 put their kids through college. Okay. How many people have their kids' college fund? Not in this room, but of the people you know, how many have their kids' college fund fully funded, ready to go? I know for me, not. Yeah, very few of them. Okay, here's something you guys are gonna absolutely love. Let me show you this, right? So what's another way they can create the savings they need for their kids or grandkids? Follow me here. Real estate. Watch this. Okay, case study. Someone buys one home for their grandkid when their kid or grandkid when they're 5 years old. Okay, just one home, kids 5 years old. They have how many years until the kid goes to college? Assuming they pass.
15.
13.
Like 13 years, right? 13. So let's say it was a $300,000 home. Okay, and anybody says these don't exist, I'll give you an example. Literally last week, I went to go look at one that purchase price 240, it's gonna sell for 340. Okay, I'll go through where to find them and how to find them in a second, right? 20% down, for how much do they have to put down on that house? $60,000 putting down payment on that house, okay? Let's say it appreciates not at the 20% per year they've been going for. Let's just follow the trend line, 4, 5, 6% per year for those 13 years. That's a more logical way to look at that, a reasonable number. These are all pretty realistic numbers. $300,000 house, 20% down, 5% appreciation per year for 13 years. What happens? Okay, what do you think it'll be worth? 13 years, based on 5% per year appreciation, what will be worth?
I mean, compounded, you're looking at probably $630,000.
630, would you say? 575. Well, take a look, 565, 694. I brought the calculator, I looked it up, right? 565, 694. They put 60 grand down. 13 years later, it's worth $565,694. What will still be owed on the home? What do you think? They've just been paying the mortgage every single month for 13 years. What do you think it's worth?
Well, they're in at 240, they're probably 180 owed.
Yeah, extremely good, yes. 183,746 for the math. Way to go. Yeah, you're really good with numbers. 183,746. And if you guys want to look later, I showed it. Starting on 300, 13 years or 5% return worth 565, 694. And then I said amortization schedule. And if you scroll down, look at year 13, it's 183, right? So those are real numbers. Okay. All right. Now remember, how much do they need to fund both of their kids' college education? 2 kids, 200 to 500,000. Okay. All right. Do they have enough? Let's look at the numbers. 565 is the future value of the home. Minus 183 is their future balance of the mortgage. They have $381,000 in equity by their kids and grandkids' 18th birthday. One house just paid for 2 kids or grandkids' college education. One house. Okay, what's the return on that? They put in 60 grand, they got back 381 after 13 years. 15.3%. Is that good? Is that a good return? Phenomenal return, and somebody else paid this down for them. If I wanted, let's go to that same example again. $300,000 house. If I wanted $300,000 in stocks, how much money would I have to pay to get that?
300,000.
300,000. But if I wanted the $300,000 in that house, all I had to put down was 60, and I had more than the 300 in equity. You see what I mean?
So this is assuming a sale of it,
They could sell. There's a lot. That's a good question. We won't go on that half today.
then you got the capital gains, but
Yeah.
then the last 2 years. you
There's
have-
other things you can do with it, right? There's other ways. You could do a, I would definitely recommend this. They could do a home equity line of credit or something like that, sell it. Not that I recommend that. That would be one option. They could sell it. There's lots of different ways they could do it. But let's say the same thing with stocks. If they needed that money in stocks, they put that in whatever else, right? They're still gonna have to do something to trigger that, okay? All right, so it gets better than that. How does it get better? Let me show you. What if it cash flow $300 per month? And the one I literally went and looked at with another agent named Tara last week to help her with this property. It would have cash flow $300 per month after vacancies and repairs, okay? All right, $300 per month times 12 months is $3,600 per year in cash flow, okay? 3,600 times 13 years is 46,800. So if you take that 381 plus the 46, now you're well over the 400, okay? And that even covers a lot of the costs it would take to sell the home, okay? All right, invest. What if you did this? Instead of just letting that cash sit there, what if you invested the $300 per month in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or whatever else? If you put that money in those funds for 13 years at an 8% return, and a lot of stocks, they'll say you can gauge between 8 to 10%. I took the 8% number, okay? So let's say 8% for 13 years. What would that return us? Another $80,000, another 80 grand. You guys follow me so far? We're taking $300 cash flow per month in rental. We're dumping it back into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or wherever you want to get it. The stock would give you roughly 8%, maybe more. So 381 plus 80, they have $462,000 by selling one property. One. Okay, let's say they did have to sell it. They pay capital gains. They've owned it for more than 2 years. They're paying 13 or 14%, whatever it is right now, right? 13% of 462 is 50 something $1,000. They still have their 400 grand.
Right.
You see what I mean? Through real estate, a very sound investment. Versus if they had it in stocks or another vehicle, right? If they had put that money into a stock, let's see what happened. Let's say they just put the 60,000. They're like, no, I don't believe this whole real estate thing. I learned stocks. I'm doing stocks. Have 60 grand. I'm doing stocks. Okay, what would happen? 60 grand, 13 years, 8% interest rate would have been $163,000. Congratulations, you don't have enough money to pay for your college. You see it? Okay. So there's your in return. What would you like to have? 163 or 462? I don't know what math is, but I'm going with the 462. But wait, it gets better even than this. And by the way, we'll send these slides out when we're finished with the whole class. I don't want to send them out.
Just send them out.
Yeah, we will. We'll send them out when we're done with both parts. Okay. Okay. This didn't even calculate the tax benefits you get from owning the house every single year. So it keeps getting better. So what if you took the extra capital each year and reinvested it in 13 years? We got that money, right? It would have been another 51, right? Okay, which I already went through some of this stuff. Okay, let me go back. Let me show you something. Oh, this is what I meant to say. Okay, I labeled this wrong. I apologize. I'll fix it before I send out the slides. Okay. Here's what happens when you buy a house, and I put it in small print down here. Okay, when you buy a $300,000 house, you guys know they have this depreciation that you get as a tax benefit. Yeah, 27-year depreciation schedule. The house doesn't actually depreciate. They just want to incentivize home ownership. Okay, so what they don't do the full 300. They do what the improvements are. The improvements is the house. Like they have the land's worth something. That one they don't depreciate on. It's the house. So let's say that house, they give you $220,000, and they're going to say you can depreciate that over 27 years. What is $220,000 divided by 27 years? You're getting an $8,000 tax credit every year by owning that one home. You guys follow me? Tax deduction. Let's say your tax bracket is 30%. I'm just making a number up. Let's say it's 30%. 30% of 8 grand is $2,444 per year. So if you're smart, when you get that extra portion, that $2,444, if you're diligent and responsible, you take that $2,444 and you put it into, look right here, additional contribution, $2,400 per year for 13 years. Where does that create? Another 51 grand. Do you guys see it? The
Yeah.
$300 per month gave us like another 81 grand. The 2,400 per year gives us another $51,000. Now we're up to $513,000 in equity. You see it? How do we get that? 3 ways. Appreciation, 5% per year. The first one. The second one was taking that $300 per month in cash flow that we're getting on the rent, right? And reinvesting it, stock bonds, mutual funds, or whatever. And the third one was taking the tax benefit you get from owning the home every single year and putting that back in the market. Okay? That gives you that number. Now, somebody in the room may be thinking, why don't you just put it back in the house, just pay off the house? You could. That's another option. I'm just trying to satisfy somebody in the room that also likes stocks. Hey, you can have both, right? And the house funds it. Okay? The reason I like this better is that house at the end of the 13 years is going to be worth a lot of money. There is a chance that if somebody had stocks, it could be worth very little money. You see what I mean? Okay. How many people in your database need to hear this? Take your kids and grandkids on education by buying one house when they're 5 years old. Everyone, okay? How could you get the message out? All. You could all or some mediums. How else could you?
Smart plan.
You have a smart plan, email. How else could you share this? Social media, right? There's so many different.
Seminar.
Seminar, you have an investment seminar, right? Show them this information, right? So what if you gave away an MREA book, MREI, the investment book, the blue one, as a gift to every single client you have at closing, sharing the example of what we discovered. Or maybe in the front cover, like you opened up the book and you wrote in the front cover, choose to be the creator of your kids' college education in their future. What if you wrote in the front cover, decide to create the lifestyle you want in retirement? Yeah, you got it right here, yeah. What if you said in the front cover, provide a legacy of financial stability for your kids and generational wealth for your family long after you're gone? Right? That's the book, and you can see it really well. If you hold yourself in the blue one, yeah. Thank you. This is what it looks like. Don't care what the help we get. I can't do it that way. I am thin, not that thin. All right. This. Get this book, right? And you don't have to wait for closings. If you don't have closings, hold a workshop like a few of you said, right? And give these as a gift to your clients talking about this. This is powerful. You guys see it? Yes. Good. All right. So how could you help them jumpstart their investing right now? What if they said, oh, I'd love to, but I've already got this money tied up? What could you do?
I'm tired.
Did you know? Yeah, I'm tired. Did you know you or your clients can take their current 401k and direct it towards real estate without triggering a taxable event? How? It's called a self-directed IRA, 401k. There's a Forbes article. This is an active link. So when you get the PDF, you'll actually be able to click on that and it tells you how to do it. Okay, I'm not a tax person. This is what Forbes said. Trust Forbes, follow their advice. Go talk to a CPA, right? That's how they do it. So, you guys follow that so far? Yeah?
Yes.
All right, top 6 benefits of owning real estate. 1, cash flow. 2, appreciation. 3, equity, and that person paying it down for you. 4th is tax advantages, which we talked about for a year. 5th, a hedge against inflation. And 6th is you can leverage the funds. If you were in an emergency, you absolutely can leverage the funds. Don't recommend using houses as piggy banks, but you can if you have enough equity in there, right? If somebody gets deathly sick and you don't have the ability to pay for their healthcare, maybe it's a parent, right, goes through a really has to some kind of treatment, right? You could take a home equity out on one of these properties. You have enough in there, you absolutely could do it. What will they lend? Up to 80% typically of the value of the rental. If you had it for, let's say at this point, 8, 9, 10 years, you've probably got a couple $100 grand of equity in there. And you wouldn't get taxed on pulling that money out. You see what I mean? Again, I don't recommend using it as a piggy bank. It's just good to have that as an option. That make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. Power real estate, with 100 grand, you can either go buy 100 grand for the stocks, or you can buy $500,000 houses. Good luck with that. Lifestyle investment in debt. So lifestyle, what do you want your lifestyle to look like? You all wrote that down. 5 years from now, here's what I want, whatever that year is. Here's what I want it to look like. What would it cost per year? You already wrote that down. Okay. What did you write down on page 1 of your handout? Look at your handout again. What did you write down for your lifestyle? What's that number? Everybody has their number. So let's say, for example, you needed, I know this is hard to see, so I'm gonna move this a little bit. $300,000. Okay. Let's say you need $300,000. That's your lifestyle number. It's where's 303? What is that per month? Doesn't work out to $25,000.
Hi, Rita.
That should be plenty to live a great lifestyle. If it's not, up it. That's fine. Let's say it's 300. Write down your number. I'm just using an example. You guys already have your number. Okay, so let's take a look at how we get there. Okay, so investment, what's your investment strategy? To get to $300,000 of passive income through real estate, that's what we're in here to talk about. Let's talk about how do we get there. So, debt. How many homes would it take to get there? We're at $300,000 a year in passive income. How many would it take to get there? The hard way would be $300 per month times 100 houses. That's a really big number, right? What if I told you that if you bought one house a year for the next 10 years, you could get there, right? What if you had, or even better, what if you had a 5-year acquisition and a 5-year payoff? You bought 2 houses a year for the next 5 years and you paid them all off in the following 5 years, right? And 10 years from today, from sitting in this room, you have $300,000 a year in passive income. And well over $3 million worth of real estate is worth $3 million today. It would be worth in 10 years at 5% appreciation. Double that, right? Okay. So this was an example that Gene gave. He said aiming for a 10% return, then we need $3 million in real estate. Here's why. Okay, let's say $300,000 house. What's 10% of 300,000?
30.
Okay, 10% of it is 30 grand, right? What's 1% of 300 grand? 3,000. Okay, all right. So what's $3,000 divided by 12?
280 bucks.
Yeah, okay, so let's do it another way. Let me go back one more time. I'll show you going one step further. The 10% rule is $300,000 house, 10% is 30 grand a year. Divide that by 12, you get $2,500 a month. That's about what you'll get in rent for a $300,000 house. That's how we came up with that number. Does that make sense? So we wanted 300 grand a year. We would need 10 houses paying us $2,500 a month. That make sense?
Yeah.
That's how we came up with that, right? Okay. Well, but what we know, we get better than a 10% return based on what we just saw. The numbers we looked at, yes, right? So again, this is being conservative because of all the other benefits. Okay. All right. So typical scenario: you bought a $300,000 home, it cash flowed $300 per month. That's $3,600 per year. It appreciated at 5% per year. What would your return be in 10 years? 488. Remember, this is 13, not 10 years. So we're at 488 at a 5% appreciation. The mortgage balance is now 200. It's not 183 because we don't have it for 13 years yet. It's 200,000. You guys follow me so far? 10 years, bought for 300, now we owe 200,000. You would have received $36,000 in cash flow. That's $3,600 per year for 10 years. Okay. Now keep in mind, you had to save to buy this property. How much did you have to put down? 20% of 300,000 is how much? 60 grand. So if this was a 10-year acquisition plan, you needed to save 60 grand per year to buy one property per year. How much is 60 grand per month? It's not even one sale, right? So your strategy may be, I'm gonna do enough sales per month to pay my bills plus one for my investments. Okay, we're gonna come into the first strategy. We're gonna find a way to do this without actually having to go capital into it. I want to show you the traditional way, and then I'll show you some creative ways to do that. Okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so you have 287,000 in equity plus the 36,000 in cash flow. Means you basically created $323,000 in 10 years from that home. What's the return on that 60K? 18%. How? It doesn't include the tax benefit. I put the thing up there. 60 grand, 323, 10 years, 18%. Again, where are you going to get that? Right? Real estate is a phenomenal vehicle, very protected for wealth. Okay. All right. 5-year acquisition plan, 5-year payoff plan. Here's what that looks like. So, how many properties do you need? Let's say it's 10. You need to look at your chart right now. Does everybody have their handout? Okay. Go to the back page. Go to the back page. This is what we're on now, back page. What investment vehicles are you choosing to get to your freedom number? If it's real estate, write down, but fill this form out. Write down real estate, it's gonna be real estate. Put stocks and bonds, mutual funds, or whatever. Okay? Could be businesses you're gonna create, right? Today we're talking about real estate. Okay? The next question is, how much capital will you need per year to obtain that investment vehicle? So if your plan was in this scenario, this person needed $300,000. Okay, they wanted it in 10 years. They needed to buy one rental property per year. They needed 60. This is the confusing part for you, and we'll get through it. You need to figure out how many properties you need to buy per year for whatever your time frame is. Okay, does everybody have their time frame written down? Remember how much time it was, whether it was 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is, right? If you need a 10% return, so take your number. Let's see if I do this calculator right. I want to get a calculator.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Aubrey? Isn't the new down payment for investment properties 25%?
It's gonna be talked to, there's some community, great question.
And is it by state?
I haven't looked in, I should look in Alabama, because I'm there all the time. And good question, most banks do loans, the big ones, do loans like Wells Fargo Bank, Bank of America, Chase, all of those, they're gonna do it across all states. Local community banks will have different rules, right? So if you talk to some community banks, you should be able to find very similar interest rates, and maybe it's only 20% down, you know? My brother-in-law just bought a property down in Florida, beach property, and he had two options. 20% down or 25% down, and they said it wasn't a community bank. If you put down 25, you get a better interest rate, is what happened, you know?
I look into it and
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, same thing,
Florida.
yeah, same thing. So, all right, so take your freedom number, everybody has their freedom number, put it in your calculator, okay, so type your number is, whatever it is, if it was 120,000 a year, or 300,000 a year, or 250, whatever your freedom number is, we got that by your lifestyle, okay? Take that number, put it in your calculator, divide by 0.1 and hit enter.
What's that
Give you a
again?
number,
Not over one, but one.
one, divide by 0.1. It'll be millions of dollars, it'll be millions of dollars. Okay, does everybody have that number? That's how much real estate you need to control, okay? So say some numbers, I wanna make sure people got it, say some numbers. 2.4 million, 2 million. 2.5 million, right? You guys got it? That's the number you should be having somewhere in that range on your piece of paper, maybe bigger. Mine is like 50 million, right? He wants to live big. I get it. So, in your example, if you have, let's say 2.4 billion, right? Listen, okay. Take your number that you have, whatever that big number is, divide by how many years did you say that you need, that you have, and to get to that freedom number. Okay, some people was 3 years, some people was 10 years, some people was 5. So divided by, put in your number, what does that give you?
So that's the 300 for 4 years.
Right, that, and then, that example I used up here, but I wanna make sure everybody has their number. Okay, somebody tell me what your number is.
342,000.
That's how much you need to acquire per year in rental real estate, 342,000 in your example. Somebody else give me another example, what'd you get?
300, right on the dot.
300, there you go, so yours worked out to that, yeah, okay?
660.
600, so the top 2 rental properties, or one really nice one, right? Okay, 600, okay? A million? 1 million, so you have to acquire 1 million worth of real estate, right? That could be $333,000 properties, right? You guys get it so far? Does everybody have their number? Who doesn't have their number? Anybody doesn't? Yes.
I'm sorry, so after you divide the, how much capital per year, you divided it by 10%.
Yeah.
And you, 0.1, and then.
I'll give you millions of dollars.
Right, and then after you do that, then.
Divided by how many years you want to take to get to your freedom number. How many years to get your freedom number? And I'll give you a smaller number. It should be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 per year. You know, or so. Does everybody have their number? Okay. Now take the number that's in your calculator. In this case, it was like 342 or whatever it was. Multiply that number times 0.2 times 0.2. That's the down payment that you need. What that gives you per year. Okay. Divided by I'm sorry, multiply times 0.2. So sorry. Multiply times 0.2. Did Andrew, did you get one of these? We missed any of these? No one needs some handouts? Here. Need 3 or 2? Okay. 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 Okay, what's that? Oh, yeah. Andrew, was there an extra one? I can even link it.
I got it.
Oh, here we go. You're back on. So you've got your freedom number. Freedom number, that's per year. Equal about. So you got your freedom number per year. And then you divide that by 0.10, which will give you, millions of dollars, okay? Fill that up and down. Okay? Right? And then you divide that by the years to, not retirement, but freedom. Okay? And then you multiply that times 0.20 to get down payment needed for a year. Okay,
Yeah.
got it? Okay, somebody give me their number. What's the down payment number you need per year?
180.
58.5, okay, 58.5, right, well,
200,000.
200,000, 50, what else?
180,000.
180,000, okay? Okay, everybody have their number?
What was the point one, like, the point one, what was the point?
10% return,
Huh?
10% return, that's how we got that. This is the return, this is a conservative return. And this is really your rental rate, what it's getting you. Remember that $300,000 house times 0.10 gave you $30,000 a year, divided by 12 months, $2,500 a month. That's how we got that, okay? So now this number you have written down here, the 65, that number you have written down here right now, put in your calculator, divided by whatever your average commission is, your gross commission. And it's probably in Metro Atlanta, you know, $400-something thousand house, let's say 12 grand. Let's say divide by 12 grand. Yeah, let's just divide by 12 grand. And if that is in your average commission, we'll work on the sales price for you now. That, you know what that gives you? What does that tell you? What does this number tell you?
How many houses?
How many sales you need to have per year to be able to pick up the rental properties you need to fund your financial future by the date you want to fund it? You guys follow that?
So if you would add that to, say your goal was 24, you would see 34, so I have 24.
Yeah, but it took 10, you know, so in this example, you had 64,000 divided by 12 is what? Five, it's like five. So 5 houses. So per plan, if it was 24 houses, now it's what number? 29. You see what I mean? And we build a plan around 29 houses. You guys follow that? Okay, if you're lost, stick around afterwards, I'll help you. I cannot tell you how important it is that you have this number. We have got to have that number. Okay? So additional sales per year. Okay. I'll read it. Okay. All right, got it? Okay. If you didn't get your number yet, stick around afterwards, I'll help you and take a deep breath. It's okay. We got plenty of other value that we're gonna cover before we, stop for today that you will take away. Okay. Are you guys getting value so far? Is this helpful?
Yeah.
All right, good. How many would you need those 18%? Because that's the number we were seeing, 15 to 18%. Less, right? A lot less.
So worst
Almost
case, we'll have
exactly.
more.
Yeah, what's that?
So worst case, we'll end up with more.
Exactly. I want to be conservative on the numbers and say, I need 5 more houses per year, or 2 more houses per year in sales, right? In order to fund my long-term investment. If I have way too many properties at the end, that's a great problem to have. Okay, all right, so, 1 rental property per year for 10 years. You created $3 million in real estate. You worth more than that by the time you get to year 10. 10% of $3 million is $300 per year, $300,000 per year in passive income, right? So cash needed $60,000 in after-tax money is $85,000 in pre-tax money. We didn't calculate in pre-tax, so you might need to sell an extra home or 2 per year on top of that number to calculate for taxes. Okay, all right. All right, so 6 additional sales. In this particular example, it's 6 additional sales per year to buy 1 home per year. That was in this example. Okay, 6 additional sales per year to buy 1 home per year. Double those numbers if you want to do it in 5 years. So it might be 160, anyway, you follow the math, whatever your time frame is. We already went through that. I'm just rehashing another example. Okay, during your acquisition phase, this is where it gets exciting. Remember I said like 5-year acquisition, 5-year payoff, it's actually like a 7-year payoff, or a 10-year acquisition and 10-year payoff. That actually ends up being a 10-year acquisition and 8-year payoff. Here's, okay, you're on a 10-year acquisition plan. It will actually only take 7 years to buy them. A total of 18 years to have them all paid off. Why? Here's why. You're gonna buy 1 rental property per year, you have to come up with 60 grand, right? Yeah. I want you continuing to do that, to save that 5 grand a month, 60 grand, right? Throughout this entire process. And then you take the cash flow that you're getting from these properties, the $300 per month, and you're setting it into a separate savings to buy another house fund. You open up another account at a separate bank that you can't easily swap money back and forth. That's your investment account, right? And that's your cash flow every month. So when you have 1 property, it's $300 a month. Year 2, you have 2 properties every single month. That's $600 a month. Year 3, you have 3 properties. That's $900 per month. So what happens is that you'd have $900 per month by year 3. It doesn't take you the full year to save the 60 grand anymore. You see what I mean? You're doing it quicker. Yes.
And people don't realize that the house you bought the first year, the house you bought the second year, now those are compounded, so it's 330 and 330, or, so by the time you get to year 5, you have multiple properties that compounded,
Yes.
you know, so it's way faster than people.
You're exactly right. And the reason I didn't put that in there is I'm trying to keep it so simple. You know what I mean? It can get so complicated when we do all this. You're exactly right. You got it. You did it. Yes.
So are you gonna, I just got a little confused. Are you gonna cover something about flips and then you can
Yes.
actually get to that amount
Yes.
faster with
That,
flipping?
you're 3 steps ahead of me. Thank you so much. Yes, we're going there in just a few minutes, right? Okay, so if you're on a 10-year acquisition plan, because of the factors we just said, keep saving the 60 grand per month, right? So you get the properties faster and take that cash flow, put it in a separate account, right? And you're gonna use that to also pay them off. So use the down payment to buy them and then eventually use it to pay off. So once you get to your 10, now you're just taking all that same money, the 5 grand a month you're saving, plus the cash flow from each one. If you have 10, that's $3,000 per month, and you're just jumping into paying them off. Okay, so when you do that, it took you 7 years to acquire them and a total of 18 to get them all paid off. If you did it in 5 years, if you're on a 5-year acquisition plan, it only took you 4 years to buy all of them because of that reason, and about a total of 11. It was actually like closer to 12 years. I didn't change that, but 12 total will pay them off. You see what I mean? But now you've created that, right? Make sense? You guys follow it? It's more complicated than this. It's actually better than this. I'm just trying to make it simple. Okay, that's as simple as I can get it. I wanted to make it as simple as possible. So how? But because math. Yeah. Simplest way to say it, you know? So you don't understand anything, so math. Okay, math. Okay. All right. I used to have this other sheet that showed like this, it was, you'd make your eyes cross, because I had to cut there and ran all the tables and everything. It was confusing. I just took it out, like math. There's a different answer, you know? Okay, so 10 homes free and clear, $2,500 a month in cash flow. That's in today's money, that's $25,000 per month, that's $300,000 per year. 10 years from now, $300,000 a year because of inflation isn't the same. But the good news is houses go up too in rental price, right? So it's apples to apples. It's 300,000 in today's money. Okay. All right. So talk about this. Cash needed. Yeah, I already covered this. Or to your point, here's what was just asked. What if? Okay, what I put on here, just to let me know. Yeah, there you go. I wanted you to see this. Or flip to fund your long-term investment equals 0 out-of-pocket cost and 0 additional sales needed 5 years out. Okay. We'll get there in a moment. I just remembered before I do that method, I wanted to show you something else. I'm glad I put it in here because I would have forgotten all that. Tips on increasing the cash flow of the rentals. So if you want to increase the cash flow of rentals, what can you do? Say this came from Gene River. You guys remember Mike especially. He charges a washer and dryer package fee of $75 per month. But that's genius. Why didn't I think about that? Right? I typically will buy used washers and dryers from like the appliance places and put them in there. They don't care as long as they work and they're clean. $75 per month. I literally have paid $100 for a washing machine and a used appliance. Spotless clean. It's just, a part was bad in it. They fixed it up and now they're selling it, right? So it's $75 a month and people will pay it. He has rental. I didn't know this. Boom, like this one was like, why did I think about that? You know? So $75 per month. Think about that. Stick that into stock market or paying the house off or whatever every month. And that number just got bigger. The returns you got. He charges a lawn maintenance package fee. He's like, look, you can mow the grass yourself, or I'll have my yard crew come out and mow it. What does he do? He adds a little buffer in there. If it costs him $100 a month to mow the grass, he's gonna charge them $130, $140. You see what I mean? Again, people like the easy button. A lot of people just click to pay the easy button. See what I mean? You guys following it? Okay. We talked about this one. I've always done this one. Hold a home warranty on each home and have the clients file, oversee, and pay for the claim. Just deduct it from the rent when they send a picture of the pay receipt. That keeps you out of the middle of my hot water heating or my AC is broken. Now they're dealing with it. You see what I mean? You don't have to get in the middle of it. Okay. It also keeps them from filing a bunch of BS stuff and complaining. They're really complaining, so you call them more stuff. But not in that bad. Okay, stop talking about it. You know? Okay, put a clause in the lease that you will allow, I did this every single time, that you'll allow them to break the lease if they use you to buy a home. Yeah, I can't tell you how many renters I've had that have bought actually multiple properties with me now, bought and sold. Okay, all right. What else? And that also keeps them from using their friend. Because now you're able to say, you can break the lease anytime, just use me to buy your house, right? Yeah,
And it gives us the opportunity to plan.
Yeah.
We know that they're looking to buy a house.
Exactly.
No one has to get down to the house that they're moving out of. And we know where they're going, what they're doing.
Right.
So we're not gonna have to worry if they're gonna stay too long.
that's it. Yes, exactly. You did. Nail on the head. And that,
Is this the 2:30 or is it go
2:30, if you guys are, okay, I'll go 5 or 10 minutes over and then we'll pause. I'll pick a good stopping point and we'll pick up. I told you we run out of time. We haven't done like all the really fun stuff I'm talking about. I'm trying to flipping and all that. I'll play a little bit of it in the next few minutes and then we'll pause. I'll set a follow-up date, maybe the next couple weeks. I'll come back and teach part 2. I don't want to go too long because the information kind of flows out of our heads. I want you guys coming back with your piece of paper, you know, and have it in hand because we're going to finish filling this out. Okay, all right, so another benefit, you get tax write-offs. You get tax write-offs, meaning if you have 10 properties in this price range, you're roughly at $80,000 per year tax write-off. Where's your tax write-off? It means if you made $80,000, that's all you made that year, you pay 0 in taxes. Okay, or if you made a lot more than that, you would get to deduct $80,000 in income. So like if you made 300,000, now you pay taxes on 220. Rather than 300, make sense?
Right.
So what does that actually equate to? Is if your tax bracket is 30% and you own 10 houses, then you're saving $24,000 per year in tax. Your tax bills went down by 24 grand.
24 grand more.
Or if you broke it down.
Or yeah, exactly, right? Yes.
Are you talking about being a real estate professional?
Yes, yes, yeah. Okay, professional.
Here's,
Yeah.
are these rental
Oh, no,
homes?
this is actually the 27-year,
Deduction.
yeah, deduction, yeah, everybody pays that. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I, on top of that,
Yeah, there's other benefits too, yeah. Yes.
Are these rental homes all under one LLC, individual LLCs, or?
Great question. So here's what happens. I would love to move every single property into an LLC. Unfortunately, that triggers the due on sale clause with your mortgage. Have I seen them ask for that? No. Could they? Yes. What it says is they gave a loan to you as an individual. And when you move it to an LLC, they don't know who else has ownership in that LLC. You see what I mean? And they didn't lend money to an LLC, they lent it to you. So they're saying basically, if you move it to an LLC, if you quit claim deed it in there, it's a triggered event, they may call whatever the mortgage balance is due on sale, because you sold it. You see what I mean? That's what that clause means. Now, if you own it free and clear, you put it in an LLC, yes. And there's some limits with like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on how many homes you can buy. It used to be 10, it might be 15 or so now, right? That's okay. There's a bank on Windward Park called Providence Bank. They're a community bank, and just about any community bank will do this. They'll package loans together for you. Like you could go back and you could repackage these loans and say, I want to put all 10 of these, here's my mortgage balance into this, and I want this interest rate. And I say, okay, yeah, we'll do that for you. Now you just freed up, we can go back to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac and buy more properties, if you hit that limit.
Do they usually, because I've heard of like people I know in other states, they do a lot of flips.
Yes.
Those you put in.
Oh, LLCs. We'll talk about that in a second. We're actually about to hit that. I'll show you that. So, ways to build your portfolio and increase real estate business. What do you get a sign rider on each of your listings? So think about your listings. What do you get a rider hanging from the sign that said, need to sell, to buy, I'll buy your home. Maybe think I don't have the capital. I'll do that in a second. Okay. All right. Well, we list it for 60 days at a price you ask them to. If it doesn't sell, then we'll buy it at a 5% discount because we'll agree that it was overpriced. Okay, so $300,000 home, take off 5%, where's 5%, 15,000. Now you're getting it for 285. Okay, you're still getting your commission, whatever you had them written down. If another agent's involved, let's say you had it at 6%, you're still getting your $18,000 commission. You just got a $15,000 reduction, and you have your $18,000 commission. There's no other agent involved, right? Okay. Use the commission part of your money as a down payment. Did you know you can do that? You can. You don't have to get office approval. We'll have to write something down to do that.
Right.
And typically we'll allow people to buy a property or two a year if they're investing for themselves, right? To do that. So let me go back to that. You can see it. So you basically, and you get the lowest 5% discount. So what just happened? If your down payment was 60 that you needed, now you only need 42. You see what I mean? And actually you don't even need 42 because the house price just went to 285. You need 39 or something, 38. You see what I mean? You guys got it? Okay. All right. Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. How do you flip to fund your long-term investments? This is where things get fun. I'm going to show you one quick thing. So what is the BRRRR method? So, let me show you this. Yeah, buy, remodel, rent, find, repeat. Okay, let me show you a real example of what this looks like, right? Okay. There's an agent named Mark Ellsworth at one of our sister offices. He's a commercial agent. Andrew, you know who he is. Over to Andrew. He's still up. Okay. Oh, there he is. Here we go. Yeah, I know he's helped you a little bit lately. Good guy. And what he's done, this is the reason I'm mentioning him. He took one single family residence, one, okay? 1031 exchanged it into one of those like one-story commercial buildings, like, you know, doctor's office, lawyer's office, you know, whatever else, right? He rolled it into that. The property had, the rents were too low. It was a little beat up. He went in there and fixed it up, okay? Then he raised the rates, the rental rates in the property. The good thing about commercial is the value is not based on comps in the area. It's a multiple of whatever the rental rates are. So what did he do? He went in there and increased the rent rates because the property's nicer now. Now the property's worth exponentially more. He went back to the bank. He said, hey, you know, I bought it for 2.5 million, right? And now it's worth 5 million. I want to do a cash out refi with some of my capital, right? So he did a cash out refi, took his capital, so he got all his money back out. Now he has $0 in the deal. He now went to the second property. He put money down on that one, fixed it up a little bit, up the rental rates, went back, refinanced, put his cash out, went to the third one. He did that, I think, 4 times. He now makes over $30,000 a month passive income a month in 5 years from one single family residence. So this isn't like, hey, this is a hairy fairy story, you know, pie in the sky. No, this is happening in our organization right now. Yeah.
So, I met with Mark today, actually, and he's coming next month.
Oh, cool.
So be ready.
Oh, he's gonna teach. Oh, well, yeah, so he'll be coming to his class. Mark is gonna share his story and how he did it. Because commercial, I mean, being open with you, I don't understand. I have enough to be dangerous, right? I understand single family, you know what I mean? He understands commercial. So with him, if you wanted to get in that world, maybe partner with one of you, you know? And he can show you. It'd be worth it to me to partner with him, a deal 50-50, you know, to learn the ropes and then go do 4 more on my own. You know?
How was he able to buy a single family residence and turn it into commercial property?
He had owned it for, let's say, 13, 14, 15 years, I remember how long it was, right? And so he had, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity in it, 3 or 4. You can roll it's like kind in like rental for rental. So you can take a single family rental residence and roll it into a rental as well. You know, and it works. And actually, Brett gave an example. I don't know about this, but he said he did it. He took a single family residence and actually rolled it like a oil. What was it called? You remember? I didn't. Yeah. But I know 100% positive you can roll it into another one. Yeah. Cool. So here's what this looks like. Let's go to this method, right? So let's say you bought this house. I'm gonna use a real example from that agent named Tara that I met with one of our agents last week. Buy it for $240,000. Okay. All right. So buy, remodel. Okay. And the house needed about $25,000 worth of work. Okay. Well, to be a good rental. Like when you're doing this method as rentals, do not say, how would I want this house to look when I move it if I was in it. It does not need granite countertops, level 8, you know, and like, you know, the beautiful standalone tub with the claw foot. It doesn't need all of that, right? It needs the most durable flooring you can get, and it's functional, you know? So, all right, so remodel at $25,000, right? The next one is rents. So put a renter in there, and then those homes, they rent for like, it's like $2,500 per month, it's about $2,300-ish per month. And then refinance. Okay, here's the thing with refinance. Okay, this is called after repair value, ARV. The ARV on this one was roughly $340,000. Okay, so you got all of it so far. Bought it for $240,000, put $25,000 in it. How much money do we have in it? Okay. How much is it worth now? What's the ARV? $340,000. Okay. Now, everybody's with me so far, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. When a bank lends on a rental property, what percent will they lend up to of the value of the home? 80. They'll do 80. 80%. Okay. So somebody with a calculator. If you go to the bank and you say, hey, I want to do a cash out refi, they'll lend up to 75-80% of that home, the LTV. What, take 340,000, multiply it times 0.8.
Or 72,000.
What this means is they're doing a cash out refi. They're going to give you 272,000. How much do we have in it?
265.
265.
I just got $7 grand. I got paid to buy this property.
Where'd you get the 340?
after repair value. You bought this house, it was beat up and needed work at 240. You put 25 in it because it needed some stinking work. Now it's worth $340,000 because it's not a beat up dump anymore, right? Okay, so you do a cash out refi for 272, it's, you only had 265 in it. You actually made, what is that, $7 grand to buy the property, yes,
So what's the time frame from the
thank
remodel
you. Okay, so
when you refinance?
let me show you this. There's something, write this down, called title seasoning. Okay? At the big banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, they usually require 1 year. What does that mean? It means if you go to them, they'll say, well, when did you buy it? And you said 60 days ago. They say, well, hang on, we require, we're gonna go off of the this value, the after repair value, the 340, you have to keep it for a year. Otherwise, because of type of seasoning, we're gonna go off what you have in it, which is 265. If they go off what you have in it, 265, you don't get all your cash out. You see what I mean? Because they're gonna give you 80% of that. Okay, this is why rather than going to a big bank, what bank do I think you should go to? Local community bank, right? They will do it without title seasoning. They're local. They don't care. Just ask around. Got it? So local community banks, how do you avoid it? Community bank. Local community bank. Okay, got it?
So you don't have to wait a year if you go to.
Yes, exactly. You can do it 3 months later. Now you got your cash back out, go do it again. Go do it again, go do it again. You can literally acquire, if let's say it took you a 90-day turn time each time between when you acquire it, you fix it up, you rent it out, you refinance it, 90 days at a time, you get 4 rental properties this year.
So,
Right.
well, yeah, so you're at 265, the bank gives you a check for 272. So you made $7,000, but you still have the other 265 to put on something else.
Yeah, you just got what just happened? So what you're kind of asking is where did I get this 265, right? Where did I get this 265? If you're gonna go buy a property,
Right.
then you could do you have to come up with a down payment of whatever 20% of 240 is, right? And you have to come up with the capital to also remodel it. That's the harder part.
Right.
Do you have the $40,000 to $50,000 to put down on a property plus the 25? Okay, where can you get that? Let me give you a really good example where I did this. Melba may not like me for saying this, but that's okay, right? She can come talk to me. Sorry, Melba. You're watching this. She's not. To past clients, and there was a heart surgeon. I sold him the penthouse suite at one of the condos in Buckhead, and he's a lung surgeon, not heart surgeon, lung surgeon. And I went to him. I said, hey, look, every now and then I have some real estate deals, and I don't know where you have your money right now, but I've known you for many years. But let me give you a good return. Maybe 10% or so return every month. He's like, I'm not getting that anywhere else. I'm like, well, if I made you the primary lien holder on the property, if I'm buying undervalued, 240 and it's worth 340, would you lend me the money? And once it's done, like being remodeled, I'll pay you 10%, however long I kept it, So if you let me 265,000, that's 26,500 per year divided by 12 months. That's a little over $2 grand per month. So if I had it for 3 months, I'd give him $6,000. What did I just get paid? I got this 7. I'm still ahead of the game. You see what I mean? And he got a great return. I said, okay, great, I got another one. Let's go do another one. Here's the challenge, or here's the good thing about this. You get to avoid taxes on this because you're not selling the property. When you flip them, just to flip them, you're paying capital gains taxes every single time.
The number.
You can't do a 1031 exchange on a flip less than a year. You can't do it.
So on this, I guess what my question is, where I'm getting stumped is, you borrowed the money, now you owe this lung surgeon $6,000, but you got a check for 7, so you have $1,000 up.
Yeah.
What are you able to take to do the next house?
Go to the same lung surgeon and say, hey, I'd like to go buy another property, right? So what's your money? This, when you get this money right here, and not at day
So it's
90.
leverage, you're borrowing, you're using someone else's money.
Yes, yeah, and that's exactly it. I'm handing them, out of that 272, I'm handing him 265 back. He's like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, hey, while you're here,
Gotcha.
I have another property I'd like to do it on. He's like, okay.
So I might not be touching the money, but I'm acquiring the property.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That process? So you have clients and friends that have trusted you for a long time, some of which have been really successful. Real estate is a really good investment. And if they're the primary lien holder, they have the capital, right? And there's equity built into it. A lot of them will do it. How did I make this right? I had the attorney wrote up the promissory note and security deed. right? That's how it happened. So they were literally recorded, they were put in the primary position, they were protected. Make sense?
Yeah.
Got it? Is that helpful?
Yes.
All right, we went a little over, we covered some things today that were helpful for you guys. Okay, I'm asking that because it's a lot of information, I get it, I'm gonna stick around for a few minutes afterwards, and what we'll do is we'll pick up on part two, and that's what we're really gonna dig into, how do I find these properties, like, what are the way, where in the world am I gonna find one for 240 to sell for 340?
Yeah.
I looked at one last week, there was one yesterday that was a more expensive home, but also had a significant amount of equity in it, right? So anyway, guys, thank you, I appreciate your time today. Set it up. Yeah, you will do.